I love being organized and I love using cash envelopes. However, I have found it even more beneficial for me personally to utilize the digital cash envelope method alongside the standard cash envelope system. So if you guys are curious and wanting to know how I incorporate cash envelopes alongside my paycheck budget, then keep on watching. Okay, so first we are just going to go ahead and just share my current paycheck budget. This is for April the 14th. Just so you know, we do live off of a variable income and we break down our budget using percentages. It just works for us. It makes so much sense and it's allowed us to become 100% debt free. So let me go ahead and zoom you guys in so that way you can see our paycheck budget, and then I'll show you a little bit later my digital cash envelopes as well as my current cash envelopes. So this is my current paycheck budget, and what I did at the top, we break down our paycheck budget into certain sections. The first one obviously is your income, and what I did here, I wrote in what our available balance was in our bank account, and then I added in my husband's pay that he received, and everything that we received, this is based on what actually lands in our bank account. That's what we budget out for. So the total income for this paycheck breakdown is $3,472.79. And then we move on to this percentage formula piece. And we aim to live off of 70% of our income. This is what Jordan Page had introduced to us. And at first we weren't able to do it, but we cut back so much and now it has completely changed our lives. So 70% of our income, which let me show you the calculation right here. So it's the 3472 and we multiply it by 0.7 and that gives us 2430. So we're just going to write that in. The next part that is non-negotiable for us is the tithe, and we tithe from the pay that we receive. It is not from the total income. So that's the only piece that's a bit different when it comes to this percentage formula. So 10% we tithe, and then what we feel the need, we want to give a little bit above the tithe as an offering. So we're going to add an additional 5%. And so 15% essentially is what will be for tithing or the giving portion. And then the other 15% is going to be applied to our goal. And the goal for us is to save, and we want to save for a down payment on our house. So that's what we're going to be allocating our funds. For you, it could be paying off debt. It could be saving for sinking funds, building your emergency fund. You fill in the blank, and that is what you could apply a percentage from your income for those particular categories. So essentially you do the same thing. You take your income, you multiply it by the percentage, and it gives you your number. The only difference is the tithe. We tithe from the pay, not the total income. So just keep that in mind. So we've broken down our percentage formula into those categories, and I just plugged in my numbers here. So 339 is 10% from the income, and then the difference is 169 for that 5%, and it gives us the giving total of the 508. So now you take your income and you subtract the giving, and it leaves us with a remaining balance of the 2964. So now is where we get into the expenses, and I've gone in depth when it comes to where we get these numbers. So definitely check out the playlist when it comes to paycheck budgeting. I'll link it up above and also in the description box, so that way you can see where I get these numbers and what worksheet I use alongside this. So these are the expenses that we will be budgeting out for from this paycheck, and I've written in all of them right here. I also added in a miscellaneous category just in case there's those, random expenses that happen to come about, or things that you just didn't budget for. Maybe you overspent in a category. This can kind of give you that coverage. And I don't really budget a big portion of that in miscellaneous, but I am trying to make it a point to grow that because, things happen. So then you add up your expense portion and it gives us $872, leaving us a remaining balance to budget out for $2,091.93. So the goal for your budget, remember, is you want to give every single one of your dollars a job. So that's why I really love the percentage formula, because it gives you a guide to really go in depth and focus on where you want your money to go. So now we just carry that number right up above, and now is where we get into our categories, and this is where I use the cash envelopes. These categories are the ones that I know we will be spending money on, and this is like the variable spending. So what you want to look at is from the time that you are budgeting to the next pay, what will you be doing? So if there is 2 weeks in between of you receiving your next paycheck, you have to think about, okay, well, I have to do groceries during that week, or we might want to go out to eat during that time frame, things like that. Or you have doctor's appointments in between. So looking at your calendar on your phone and really planning accordingly when you set this part up is really key when it comes to creating what would be considered a quote-unquote successful budget. Now, sometimes things happen, and that's why you should really try to be truthful and honest of what your spending is going to be looking like. We budgeted out for eating out, groceries, and my husband and my spending. Our allowance, we kind of do whatever we wish. So if we want to go out to eat and me get Starbucks or something, then I will do that. If I want to get my hair done, nails done, whatever the case is, this is where we use that particular category for. So I use my wallet cash envelopes for this section of the budget. And I am not a cash spender any longer, but we do break down by category. So I have my wallet and I have the different categories right in here in my wallet where I track in these trackers, our gas and everything. I keep that in here because it just makes it a lot easier having these particular categories in my wallet, and I have my receipts in here as well. So the total category section comes to $325. And so in reference to the percentage formula, we said that we wanted to live off of 2430. So right now, if we take the expense total that we wrote in right here, $872.86, and we add in the $325, we're only right now living off of $1197.86 for spending. So we are well below what we had said that we would be living off of. So you don't necessarily have to use this and like say, oh, I can do all of the spending in the world to be at that particular goal. No, not necessarily. You can live off of less if you choose to do so, because if you have big goals like we do, we will be sacrificing other random spending, or try to at least, to reach the goal of saving. So I just wanted to point that out. So now the next part of the budget is these other savings categories, which are sinking funds. And here's where I utilize digital cash envelopes, so that way we can track our spending. So I use this app that's called Simple Budget Envelopes, and this is where I keep all of our sinking funds categories, where I can track our savings, where I can say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and move some transactions over to really reach the goals that we want. So I utilize digital cash envelopes for our sinking funds for tracking purposes. So the sinking funds that are important to us right now, or that we know that there are bills that are going to be paid, are these. So we want to save for our anniversary, car repairs, Christmas, gifts, pet, and vacation. So pet, from this paycheck, my dog, she had oral surgery. She actually had all of her teeth extracted, and so we had to put a big chunk of our funds to that savings because we knew that we had an appointment for her surgery, which was already done and she's fine. So it was a little stressful, but I'm glad that we were able to allocate finances for that purpose. So $900 was set for sinking funds, leaving us with a remaining balance of $866.93. So this is where we get down into our actual savings accounts. So we have two savings accounts, one as emergency and one as our home fund. So we do still want to apply funds for emergency because, you know, times are weird and we want to be safe. And especially with my husband being self-employed and me now working at home, essentially not being employed, we definitely want to make sure that we are also saving for an emergency just in case. But we also want to save for a home because we want to have a good down payment for the next home. So $266 is going to emergency and $600 is going to our home savings. And these two cancel each other out, leaving us with a zero-based budget. So having a zero-based budget really is vital because that makes sure that you are allocating your funds where you want them to go. Do they align with the goals that you have? And you can also review and see if there's anything that you have to tweak on a future future budget. So that is how I break down my paycheck budget and how I use a digital cash envelope tracking system as well as a cash envelope system. And using the two in my budget has really allowed me to have better control and just have everything in an easy access for me on a daily basis. So I hope that this gave you a different insight on how you can use not only regular cash envelopes, but also utilizing apps like the simple budget envelope app or something similar to track your finances that are variable. So if you enjoyed today's video, you have any questions for me, then definitely let me know in the comments. Like this video if you liked it, and I will see you guys right here in a brand new video. Bye guys!